What's poppin', mi gente? It's your boy back with another video. First up, a special shout out to my first gold tier member, Eric P. Thank you for your generous donation. For those who don't know, spriting is extremely costly. It's not cheap. You have to pay the artist not just for the results, but their overall time. That means if I'm sitting there for 25 minutes discussing some concept info about the stage and dictating exactly what I want the artist to draw for me, well, I have to pay him for that time. So it's not just a matter of, okay, you created one sprite, here's a payment for that one sprite, send him on his way. No. If he attempted to create that sprite 5 times and I rejected it, well, I have to pay him for his overall work. And I understand that because in my industry, where I work professionally, a big part of my pay is the time people spend with me consulting. So I want to make sure I don't burn those bridges. I want to make sure I keep those connections. So I have to keep my artists happy. And again, that gets costly. Now, with that being said, sorry if things have been slow the last 2 weeks or so. I actually found a job. Finally. After months and months and months and months of searching. And believe me, anybody who's gone out of work for an extended period right now is feeling me. They understand what it's like. It's soul crushing. To put in resume after resume after resume, hundreds of them, go to countless interviews and basically be told, no, you suck, you're not good enough, get out. It gets to you after a while. But I'm back at work now. The first week I put in about 11 hours a day. Now it's been about 2 weeks. I have some remote options, so I'm down to working the usual 8 hours a day. So I'll have more time to work on the engine again, which is something you're going to see me doing in this video here. I'm working on an animation for the wolf when he's on a slope. You'll have to excuse me if during certain times I slow down a bit. The fact of the matter is I'm new to video production, so I get distracted with what I'm saying. I'm trying to focus on it, make sure the video comes out clear. So again, if this is a little bit slow, background-wise there's not much going on, I apologize for that. Now this video is going to be a public release video. I am planning on putting up another video for my Patreon-only subscribers in the next few days. And that video is going to be an extremely helpful tutorial for anybody who is considering putting things into Unity. It's going to cover the basics of why I set up my sprite sheets the way I do, how I set them up, using a palette shader and inputting them into Unity. So again, for anybody who's considering game development, that might be an extremely useful tutorial to visit. For those who don't know, if you want access to Patreon-only videos, all you have to become is a $5 only subscriber. That's it. I understand a lot of people don't have a lot of money. You know, again, it isn't about the money, but I have to find a way to be able to sprite the things we need. There's a lot of things that need to be done, from the new Richter for Symphony of the Night, Maria sprites, enemies, bosses, backgrounds, etc. It all has to be done, and I have no spriting skills, so I have to hire people to do it. Now, with that being said, something else I wanted to cover is, for those of you who are already Patreon subscribers, or for those of you who aren't and are thinking of becoming a Patreon subscriber, what incentives would you like to receive? What would make you feel appreciated? What are things that would make you feel that you're getting some equity in your investment, whether it's $5, $10, $25, or one of those crazy gold tier members? What kind of rewards would you like to see that would really make you feel like, hey, you know what, I contributed to this guy, you know, he made sure to give me something that made me feel like I got my money's worth here. Okay, because I understand people are giving money here, and money is a precious resource. It doesn't grow on trees. Believe me, as a person who grew up in poverty, I completely understand that. So, again, I appreciate each and every one of my supporters. Feel free to give your feedback in the comments below. Now, for those who really want to ask questions about the hack itself and ensure they get answers, or people who really want to submit a lot of their own creative ideas or requests, this is the way to go, is to become a Patreon subscriber. Honestly, I just don't have the time to get back to everybody who wants me to answer their questions. If you look at my YouTube videos, that's a lot of comments. That's a lot of people there. And as much as I hate not being able to get back to everybody, I just don't realistically have the time. Every second that I'm sitting here making a video or answering a question, pardon me, is time that I could be working on the engine that is now getting wasted. So, if you want to be able to get answers to your questions, that's the way to do it. Become a Patreon subscriber, because those are the people who are going to be the main focus when it comes to me having free time and going, hey, who should I answer a couple of questions for today? Alright, so, with that being said, public vids are going to be coming out probably once every 2 weeks to a month. Patreon vids, I'm trying to do them once every week, 2 weeks for the moment, because I'm working full time again. So that's the schedule for that. I did put up a forum and a Facebook page for those who want to interact with other Castlevania Symphony of the Night fans. And again, I'll have the links down in the video below. I'm rarely on those other than to look for ideas and suggestions to the threads I create, so that I can go ahead and go, okay, well, I like this idea, let me speak to this person and let's elaborate further. Or here's a person who sprites well enough that they could potentially join my team, or is into sound development on a skill level enough that I might want them to join my team, etc. But otherwise, I created this for you guys to be able to just interact with other people, meet other people, etc. Now, something I wanted to talk about that's been a concern for a number of people, and that's the concept of what I call feature bloat. Feature bloat is when a person wants to put out, when a developer intends to put something out but keeps adding new features over and over and over and over. They'll complete one thing and go, hey, you know what, maybe I want to add this feature too, this would be neat. You know, hey, maybe I want to put that in. An example would be to sit there and put in a moveset, 2 movesets for Alucard like I've done. And then to go, okay, well, I saw this other moveset in the game and I might want to put that in too. And this is something that I've had a couple of people comment on, so let me clarify that feature bloat is not an issue here. I do have a realistic expectation for what I can put out and what I can create. And I have already decided on Alucard's moveset, I've decided on the combat system, I've decided on the moveset for all of his forms. So, I mean, keep in mind, this isn't just creating one engine. I had to create an engine for the wolf, which is a quadrupedal creature. Anybody who knows anything about programming will tell you quadrupeds are not easy to work with. There are just so many things that contributing factors that are a royal headache. I won't go into them here and bore you all. Mistform has its own engine as well, but it's kind of what I call a miniature size engine. It's not a full size one. And then unlike wolf form and bat form that have multiple moves, it's just movement. So not such a big deal there. But again, this is why people are getting the impression that, you know, hey, he keeps adding new things. Well, it's not that I'm adding new things. It's that at this point I'm sitting down and trying to make sure everything works correctly, because this engine can be the basis for many other things. And that's where it's at right now. It's at the point where I can take a lot of the information I've created for Alucard and I can easily create an engine for Richter or Maria or any other characters that I decide to throw into the game. And the basics are already done, which overall saves a lot of time. I've also set up my code so that modifying it is very easy, which is an issue you'll notice a lot of other game developers have. They have issues with their code being very difficult to modify, and it really just slows down game development. I don't have that problem because I've thought in advance. And you know what? The extra time that I spent on it was definitely worth it, because in the long run, it just makes things flow so much more smoothly and much more quickly and relatively bug-free. Now, with that being covered, the next thing I wanted to talk about is the beginnings of the engine. Now, I did put out a demo years ago in GameMaker, but that is what I consider a very primitive demo, and it took a long time to put out something else, because the truth be told is for a long time now I was getting very frustrated with what was going on with GameMaker. It just seemed like no matter what I did, there was always another bug, always another issue, something else that popped up that didn't make sense. It was like, why doesn't this work? Couple that with an interface that was very counterintuitive, constantly being updated, always causing issue after issue with things that should work and making me wonder if I'd made a mistake in my code. And I'm honestly amazed I got that much done. And then converting over to Unity wasn't easy either, considering the fact that at the time I was working full-time, dealing with a serious relationship, constantly out partying, which is something I iterated for a long time in the first part of the lifespan of this engine, is that this is something I did part-time as a hobby. It wasn't like now something that I've put full-time all this effort into it and focused on. It was just kind of a thing that, hey, I have free time, let me work on this. That's not the case anymore. This is now something that I'm working heavily on for that reason. And it's part of the reason why I waited until now to open a Patreon, because I didn't think it would be fair to open one and then tell people, well, sorry, I may not work on this the next 3 or 4 weeks because I'm out partying with my friends. That wouldn't fly with me. And you know what? I tend to treat people like I like to be treated. So that's the story behind that. For any who saw the old demo and are concerned, I'm again projecting releasing a demo in the next couple of months. Now, mind you all, when I'm talking about putting effort into this weekend I have a 3-day weekend, so I'm putting in a good 23 hours of time into coding and doing various development things, including meeting with potential new team members. I've had a couple of people who have contacted me stating they want to join for various things, but the problem is making sure those people have the skills that they advertise, because I do run into a lot of people who claim they can do something, and then when it comes time to, the things they submit are nowhere up to par on what they said they could do. So I always test anybody who applies with me, so if any of you do that, don't take it personal. You will be tested. If that's an issue for you, I apologize, but I'm not sorry. The fact is, I'm a producer of a gaming project, and as a producer, my goal is to get everybody results. So, you will be tested. I'm straight to the point. It won't be a Q&A session. I'm going to expect you to come in, show me what you can do, and it's either going to be a yay or a nay. And again, everybody has a different skill set, so if let's say I'm looking for a spriter and you're not very good at spriting, well, I also need people to do concept art. You know, that's something potentially I could put the person on. It's a matter of learning what each person's individual skills are, but that's going to be the goal of the conversation. Figure out what your skills are. Do you have a skill that can contribute to the project? Great, then you're on the team. If you don't, sorry, thank you for your time. And there are going to be people who are going to get butthurt and up in arms because, hey, I think I can do this, and hey, I think I can do that, and that's great. But just like any other company or project or interview or whatever you want to compare it to, well, the person who's in charge of the project is the person who's going to make the determination. And you just have to go along with their decision, and that's the way it goes. It's a shame that everybody can't be offered a role, but that's just the way it is. A big part of it also is reliability. Is this person reliable? Can this person follow directions? Is this person going to get temperamental when I tell them, hey, this doesn't work, I don't want to do this, let's do something else? Those are all contributing factors that are going to help me determine, are you somebody that will fit on the team, or should I just go on to the next possible candidate? And the fact is, again, it's going to be a quick process because I'm too busy coding a million and one things or dealing with headaches like what you see on your screen with this wolf form. Believe me when I say moving all these little pieces around like this is a bit tedious at times, but it can be frustrating when you try something 6 times and it's like, okay, well, this doesn't look good, this doesn't match up, how do I get these to match up? So that at the end we have a product that works versus it being or needs a few tweaks maybe, but isn't something like, damn, you know what, now I have to go back and redo this whole thing from scratch because it's just not going to work, I wasted all that time. And we've been talking on this video here for a good probably about 13 minutes now, and that's not counting the production time and the editing I've done to the vid, that I've done a couple of changes to this as well. So believe me when I say this is involved, but I just get a thrill out of seeing the end result. Seeing that, hey, you know what, I busted my tail on this thing and it came out looking wonderful, and then seeing people playing it and be like, oh wow, this game looks really nice. That's what really gets me up in the morning and motivates me to work on this. And the details, I think, I'd like for the details to show in this. You know, a lot of people have called this what I call a labor of love. I don't really like that name, kind of corny, kind of effeminate, you know, so I won't call it that. But again, I want you guys to see results. I want you guys to see good results, not stuff that makes you go, well, that looks like a mess of things somebody slapped together. It looks like the typical fan game. You know, the person had put very little effort into. I don't like it. It feels bad, man. No, I want this to be something that people really go out of their skin and go nuts over and go, wow, that's, pretty crazy. How did this guy do this? Speaking of craziness, let me show everybody something that I think is amazing. And credit for this goes to Matthias Vampire Killer, who came up with this, but this is what I'm talking about when I say concept art. This is the room from the entrance with the giant boulder in it, where fishmen jump up. You'll notice you can see the entryway rooms here, and you can see them here. Okay, so you can see the staircases too, the platforms, the giant boulder in the middle, but look what this guy did. This guy went above and beyond to create he not only put new details in the background that I think are very intricate, but he also created a new lower section and logically dictated how this could lead to the underground caverns and potentially the garden. Now, mind you, there's not going to be a garden over here. This will lead to a sewer area, so this will have to be changed slightly. But nonetheless, look at the level of detail here. Look at the intricacy. This is the type of stuff that I need. And notice I'd started off up here as a simple sketch, and then he drew out the details more. Now this guy, I'm in the process of getting in contact with him further. We've spoken a few times. But this is what I'm talking about when I say concept art. It doesn't have to be this detailed. Even something that starts off like this and then you expand on it as details come to you is very helpful. This is a room that's already in the castle entrance. I wasn't looking at changing it, but honestly after seeing this, I can't help but want to. And this is something that as is, I can send it to my spriter right now and tell him, hey, we need to do this, we need to do that, create this, create that, and we're good to go. This is the type of stuff I'm looking for the first stage, the graveyard at the town area. So again, if you want to submit concept art, here is a perfect example of what to give me. This is extraordinary. And extraordinary things are the things I'm going to go for when I'm seeking people to join the team, because I'm not having to have a team of mediocre people. Mediocre people create mediocre results. When you get people who are passionate about what they do and are willing to go that extra step, well, that's when you end up with a result like the games we originally played. That's when you end up with the next Castlevania 3. That's when you end up with a Super Castlevania. That's when you end up with a Rondo of Blood and a Symphony of the Night. When you have people that are really passionate about what they do and are going, you know what, we need to take this to the next level, I'll put in the work to do it. So that's what I'm looking for when I say concept stuff. So this brings us to the last thing I'm going to touch on in this video, and that's people who want to volunteer to be beta testers. First up, let me say I'm only going to need probably about 10-20 beta testers for the demo at extreme most, okay? Second off, let me say that once again, Patreon subscribers are going to be the priority here, because these are the people who are contributing funds to the project. These are the people who are going to get first picks. These are the people who I'm going to look at and go, you know what, you've proven you're willing to contribute and take it to the next level. You're the people I'm going to speak to first. And with that being said, though, let me also point out that a lot of people who are advertising that they want to be beta testers, quote unquote, are doing it just because they think they're going to get an early copy of the engine that they can play. I mean, come on, peoples. I might have been born at night, but it wasn't last night. I know what the deal is. Okay, so every time I put out something for beta testers, I always leave 1 or 2 bugs. 1 or 2 obvious bugs that I feel that any valid beta tester should be able to find. And if a beta tester doesn't find them, that beta tester isn't going to be a beta tester again. And it's that simple. And these are very obvious things. A case in point is with the first demo I put out for Game Maker, I left a very, very glaring bug in that I knew anybody who took 5 minutes to play with the game and test the controls for Richter appropriately would find and would get him stuck. Well, among the 6 beta testers I had, I heard a lot of, yeah, great work, this is awesome, this is wonderful. But only 2 people find those bugs, with the other 4 just telling me, oh, it was a great game, they loved playing it, but then not being able to give me any feedback on the controls, any glitches, etc. It suffices to say 2 of those people stayed on and the other 4 were not given another beta to test. Because that right there proved to me that, hey, while they might have enjoyed playing it, that's not the goal when you're a beta tester. The goal when you are a beta tester is to test things. This means if the game director, game producer, whatever term you want to use, hands it to you, they're going to go, hey, I want you to check it out and listen for any sound glitches here or there that break up. I want you to use these controls and try to jam him up. I want you to try to test collisions. Everybody's assigned different things that they're supposed to test. And then you're supposed to get back to the director of the project and tell them, hey, here are the bugs I found, and give them details so they can go in and fix those bugs so that they don't keep happening. Problem is, a lot of people, again, didn't do that because they were just looking to, hey, let me get my hands on this and play it and have a little fun. And that's, of course, not okay. I want people to enjoy themselves, but we have to get things done too. So, when I'm looking for beta testers, it will be people I know. It will be Patreon subscribers. Everybody else, I thank you for your offer, but unless you can show me proof that you are a high-level beta tester and have a portfolio that proves your experience and findings, the answer is going to be a flat, definite no. Okay, and with that all being said, that's pretty much all I wanted to discuss in this vid. I will explain what's going on in the background a little more, is I did complete one animation for the wolf near the top of the staircase, and now I am tweaking one near the bottom of the staircase. In essence, I'm touching it up to make it look a little prettier. Now, what's going to happen next is, shortly into this vid, I'm going to go ahead and play all the animations as he's going up the staircase at the individual levels, and you'll notice things jump around. The front legs and the back legs primarily. The body is in place, the tail's attached to the body. The tail I may need to edit some frames later on, but that's not something I'm worried about just yet. But the big issue here is going to be both pairs of legs. The 2 front legs and the 2 back ones. And what will happen now is I'll go ahead and take screenshots of this, take a couple of notes, and forward it to my artist, who will then create the limbs I need. I'll test them in game, see how they look, and then advise them as to whether A, we need to do some more tweaks, or B, we're ready to go as is. And that's the process for these animations. The uphill ones are actually more involved than the downhill ones just because of the motion. So, sorry if this vid was basically a lot of me moving things around, a millimeter here, a millimeter there, but that's what's involved with something like the wolf form, which is basically a multi-piece sprite. It's sometimes called puppet or skeletal animation, but as you can see, it can be very time consuming to get everything looking right, and the goal is to make it look much better than the original game. Also, let me apologize in advance to everybody if there's any background noise in the video. I am currently staying with some people, which is going to be remedied in about 2 months now that I have a job and some income coming in again. And I thank everybody for their patience. But with that, that's all I really have to say in this video. Subscribe to my Patreon, or you can make donations via PayPal. I'll have both of those addresses listed in the info of the video, along with the Facebook page and the forum for anybody who wants to join and speak with any other Castlevania fans. Other than that, I'm out. I'll talk to you guys soon. Oh, and one more thing. In one of my previous videos, there was some debate as to my pronunciation of a certain word. In short, let me say that, yes, I am aware that the word is pronounced scythe, not scythe. No, there isn't a word in the English language that will describe just how little I care about that fact. Please pull the stick out. You look like a human fucking popsicle. See, I know how to be an obnoxious troll, too.